My name is Camille Seaman and welcome to episode 4 of my YouTube channel. I'm still here on this glorious March day on the banks of the Shannon River in Dunaha, Ireland. Today, as a follow-up to last week's video, I'm going to talk to you about my travels focusing on the Antarctic. I first started going to the Arctic and Antarctic back in 1999. And that story is so extraordinary, and I've told it so many times that I'm not going to tell it here. But if it's a story that you're interested in knowing, I'm going to put a link in the description to that story where you can listen to it from a radio podcast that was done or watch a video. When I first came back from Alaska in 1999, I thought that was it. I thought it was over. I thought that I had seen cold, and by cold I mean minus 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And I thought that was enough. I thought I never needed to be that cold again. But my mother-in-law at the time was, let's just say, persuasive woman, that she insisted that we all go with her as a family to a place called Svalbard. We had such an incredible time on a small icebreaker called Polar Star that we then decided we had to see, well, what does the Antarctic look like? And so as a family in 2004, we went to Antarctica, the peninsula, for the first time. I have to tell you, that place blew my mind. Blew my mind. It was like something out of a Star Wars episode from another planet far away from here. But what was amazing was here I was on our planet. These places exist on our planet, these frozen, wonderful worlds. When I first came back from that trip in Antarctica, I called it the fortress. Something about that place made me realize just how fantastic our planet is. It wasn't about the penguins for me at that time. In fact, if I'm honest, it took me years to fall in love with penguins. But if you spend as much time as I have around penguins, it's inevitable that you will fall in love and have a deep respect, as I do, for all of those marine birds. First trip in Antarctica for me was all about the ice. Icebergs, glaciers, on a scale that you cannot imagine. I'm talking having to sail for hours around an iceberg because it was that large. Maybe if you tell me you want to learn more about the differences between icebergs, like what's a bergy bit versus a tabular iceberg, let me know, and I'll do a video just about icebergs for you. So just put that in the comments if that's something you would like to see. Antarctica was one of those places that once I had been there, as soon as I got home, the only thing I could think about was, how do I get back? And like so many people who have traveled in the polar regions, that's exactly what happens. You start to think, how do I get back? There is no other way. You have to get back. And it is expensive. How much? Well, I don't know what it will be moving past this pandemic phase. It may be more expensive. Usually it costs about $1,000 a day. So if you're there for 7 days, your trip is going to cost you a minimum of $7,000. There is a way to get around this. There's two ways. One is you can go all the way down to Ushuaia or Punta Arenas, but Ushuaia is more a sure bet. If you go to Ushuaia and you hang out there, chances are there is a ship that still has available cabins. And they will sell those cabins at a huge discount, but you have to be there, and you don't know. You just don't know. It's a lot of flying by the seat of your pants, and if you're lucky. So that's a less expensive way to go. And then the way that I chose to continue to return to these places was to get paid. I think it's always good advice to find the thing that you love and then figure out how to get paid to do that thing. And in my case, going to Antarctica and becoming the ship's expedition photographer for tourist vessels, expedition vessels, this was my ticket in. And so that's what I did. I have worked as the expedition photographer on board ships since 2006. That means I would spend anywhere from November to February, March in Antarctica. And then the ship would reposition and I would spend anywhere from May till September in the Arctic. It means that I literally, like an Arctic tern, feel very comfortable flying between the Arctic and the Antarctic every year. In fact, it's a way, in a way, to have an endless summer. And it's an endless summer because when I'm down there, it's the austral summer, and when I'm up here, it's our summer. Maybe it's just that I don't like the short days of winter. In any case, Antarctica has, it's a massive continent. And for me personally, I've never had any desire or need to go to the actual South Pole. What was more interesting to me personally was the edges of the continent, because that's where most of the life is. There are many reasons that you might want to go further inland. I've had friends that have actually crossed the Antarctic continent. That's not for me. I love that when I'm on a ship, I get to wake up in a new position each day. It could be a place that we've been to before, but no place is ever the same. The light changes, the weather changes, the snow conditions change, the amount of penguins and penguins' chicks are always changing. There are many ways to get to Antarctica. Some people tell me, being on a ship crossing the Southern Ocean, the Drake Passage, they get really freaked out. I'm not a good sailor. Yeah, it happens. And personally, I think it's okay to just stay in your cabin and sleep for 2 days. Maybe you don't feel so well. But for those who absolutely insist that they cannot go on a ship across the Southern Ocean, you're missing out, but hey, it's your world. There's a way to fly from Chile to the Chilean bases in Antarctica and then get on a ship. So if you want to do that and you've got the money, do that. The ships that I've worked on have carried from 50 to almost 300 passengers to Antarctica. And if I'm honest, I think 300 is even too much, because your time on shore is less. If you can find a ship that carries 200 or less passengers, that's the way to go. It's that sweet spot of not being ridiculously expensive, but still having a great amount of time on land and not feeling like you don't have the opportunity to find a moment of solitude or really take in the place. And since we're talking about Antarctica, I want to just talk about right now my wisdom for today, which is about making photos as a tourist. It doesn't apply just to Antarctica, it applies no matter where you travel to. I cannot tell you how many people I have seen around the world on vacation, living their entire vacation through a lens, whether it's a camera or a video camera or a selfie stick. Put it down. As a photographer, I am even telling you, put it down. If you came and did a workshop with me, I have a rule. The first 5 minutes, you do not touch your camera. How can you make an interesting image or say anything interesting about a place that you have just arrived in, and you whip the camera up to your face and you start photographing like a mad person? I've seen this happen in Antarctica too. People rushing here, there, feeling like they're going to miss out on one of 100,000 penguins. They have to get them all. Well, the reality is everything has already been photographed. Everything. And everything has been photographed well. So if you're going to make a photograph, shouldn't it be a photograph that brings a new voice, your unique perspective to this place? And how will you ever be able to do something like that if you don't take the time to smell the place, feel the place, look and observe? And so my wisdom for today is be still. Be still and observe before you pick up the camera. Because once you've been in the place and you are still, you will start to notice things that you would have walked right by if you just had your camera to your eye. And that's my wisdom for today. What kind of questions do you have about Antarctica? I'd love to do more. 20-something years is a lot I'm sure I take for granted. So please put your questions down below, and I promise I will make a video about those. Until next time, thank you.